Your Cleveland Cavaliers, with a record of 35-22, have an interesting two-game stretch where I feel like they could learn some things from and improve on in the future as the All-Star weekend in Cleveland looms. Welcome to Cavs Encapsulated. Roll the intro. Couple of housekeeping notes before we get into episode 17 of your favorite Tuesday show. First, we really want to appreciate and say our thanks for all the recent support. We got some great numbers, rolling in 1,000 views on episode 16. So continue to share with your friends. Make sure you hit that like button. Let's try to hit like 25 likes. We've never put out a recommendation before, but if you watch the video, even if you watch 5 minutes of it, just hit the like button, subscribe, comment down below. And be on the lookout if you're watching this today, Tuesday, February 15th, be on the lookout for a couple of things. One, a post-game live reaction of Cavs-Hawks in Atlanta, the last game before the All-Star break. And number two, a week from today, yours truly, Jeff, Justin, and Logan will be doing a three-way Cavaliers all-time players fantasy draft. So drop some names in the comments. Anybody in there that played for the Cavaliers, we can draft, but it's the contending factors there in their prime. So it could be Shaq in their prime, D Wade in their prime. Of course, we're all going to get one version of LeBron. So make sure that you mark your calendars a week away from that. I would go around, but we got a lot to get to. So I'm going to hit the first clip reaction, and then we're going to
let's go.
Logan
right into it.
How can you not love this team, Logan? How did you feel when you saw that video?
I just feel so good for Jarrett Allen. I love how, he looks at coach, then looks to the left and sees the camera, and he knows something's up. And I think, this is what he deserved. I think he was disappointed. We all were disappointed when he wasn't named the first time. We were more disappointed. He was disappointed when he wasn't named the second time. And, like they say, third time is the charm. Jarrett Allen, at the end of the day, I think we have two all-stars. It's Garland, it's Allen. I think we have a future one in Mobley, and then we have a good young team. And Allen, though, the way I've compared Jarrett Allen, it's not – he doesn't have the same personality as, say, Jarvis Landry. But I think he's kind of, in a way, the Cavaliers' Jarvis Landry. He came in, kind of changed the culture in a way, more tough attitude, more you're not going to get anything in the paint. The losing stops now, and he's just a good guy to be around. Like I said, they have very differing personalities, but that's kind of the role that he's taken on is kind of given the Cavaliers their true identity along with Garland. So when you have the two guys spearheading this thing that has gotten to this point with this team, both are well-deserved all-stars.
Yeah, and Justin, going over to you, someone who I'm sure actually liked that comparison. I know that that's a good comparison, something that I didn't think about when it comes to comparing, a Browns player to a Cavs player. But we talk about it a lot over the past, couple years that we've done this. You have to be a certain type of person to play professional sports in Cleveland. It sounds like, if you're from a big market team, you might not think about it like this, but like you have to be a certain breed of athlete to come and want to play, Northeast Ohio. And we've heard multiple times Jarrett Allen on Twitter, Cleveland has my heart, and explicitly stating that he loves playing here. And it's just funny because I feel like me and you have a lot of things in common with the guy, and he's just so likable.
Yeah, that was a great analogy by Logan. I guess we're going to have to bring him on for Brown stuff now too, I guess.
Chill out.
That was such a great analogy because when you think of their situations, it's very similar. Jarvis comes over in a trade. Jarrett Allen comes over in a trade. These are situations where, you're kind of left out to dry depending on the team that's trading you and where they're sending you to. And, you know, I think the outside view of Cleveland is very poor. My God, if you listen to the Super Bowl cast, it sounded like we were the worst franchise to ever have held a player on our roster. But, you know, it just, the outlook makes people think that we are such a bad fan base in general as Cleveland sports fans. And it's just the actual opposite. Like we put so much love, and yeah, sure. Is there a lot of like back and forth between fans on opinions and stuff? Yes. But at the end of the day, I think, you know, if you truly love your sports team and you truly want to show out and do the most that you can, like Jarvis Landry did when he came here, and what he's been doing has been part of the turnaround. And Jarrett Allen last year coming in, obviously starting to turn things around, becoming an all-star here. I just feel like it's phenomenal. It's great to get those kind of experiences because it shows people not only are, you know, these guys just great players and great for the adjustments that need to be made to an organization, but it just also, I think, shows a little bit of the passion that Cleveland fans bring to the game.
The NBA is really to a point where a year ago, maybe a little bit over a year ago, the whole buzz is that James Harden is going to Brooklyn and Jarrett Allen totally gets forgotten about in that trade. Yep. So as a player, that has to kind of weigh on you, you know, in a negative way. It's like you're in the James Harden trade. No one's going to, you know, Woj and Shams will report it because that's their job. But it's like nobody a year ago, at least that I saw, was making videos. You know, Jarrett Allen's going to be an all-star a year from now. The Cavs are going to get end up with Karis LeVert at the end of that trade, going off on a little side tangent. But Karis LeVert and Jarrett Allen could be in a better spot, you know, than James Harden to make a deep playoff run this year. Now we have two all-stars, the Cleveland Cavaliers at home. What a good story, but
just
wanted to get that out there.
One more side note, Jeff, alluding to the fact that he's got similarities to me and Jeff in terms of our love for video games. The man's playing Pokemon on his Switch with his headphones in and everything, and a man just trying to enjoy his game and gets announced as an all-star. Just wanted to throw that little side tangent out there. Loved it.
Yeah, Justin, I think you kind of alluded to it earlier. I just wanted to go back to that Jarvis and Jarrett Allen thing, and it also brings in Jeff here when he's talking about the idea of, you know, Cleveland and what you have to be a certain athlete to be there. Talk about Jarrett Allen, glitz and glamour of a big city in Brooklyn. Jarvis Landry, the sun and the beaches of Miami. A lot of people saw it as they were banished to Cleveland, banished. And it takes a special player and a special person to take on their role, totally remold the team into a winning culture, into a team that actually likes to be around each other, that you see in some of our Cleveland teams here. And I think that's the biggest thing, is the fact that people think, like you said, Jeff, he wasn't talked about in that trade, in the James Harden trade, very much. He thought, okay, he's got a new opportunity. He can do more in Cleveland. But what? He'll be out of there soon. He doesn't want to be there. He has totally embraced Cleveland. Cleveland has embraced him, and now he embraces his first all-star appearance.
5-year extension for the man, too, this past
Absolutely.
Season.
Yes. Yeah, he's here for a while.
Exactly what I was thinking, too. A lot of players get signed, you know, $20 million. I mean, how old is he? 24? Like,
yeah,
imagine
looks 36, but
imagine that direct deposit. You know, after games, after each night you play, you get that direct deposit. You already signed the $20 million, so you see a lot of guys kind of, you know, shrink away from that moment, stop working on their game. But he's only improved so far, and I found it interesting. One last little point before we move on, that the first time I watched that, and it was different because they were on a bus when Darius was announced, but I was like, it felt like the reaction for Darius was like a little bit more, you know, hyped up, and he was actually, you know, named as a reserve. He wasn't a fill-in. Either way, it's still an all-star appearance, but I was thinking about it more, and I kind of realized that this team knows how to like approach every one of their teammates. Right. At least to me, like Darius is kind of like the hype guy. He's always like jumping around and stuff, and he's active on the bench when he's not playing. And Jarrett is more like the formal leader. Like he doesn't really say a whole lot. He's waving to people in the stands, you know, pregame. So that everybody came up and kind of gave him an individual, you know, dap, but it wasn't like a huge pile on. So I just thought it's interesting how this team kind of knows each other already. Bunch of new guys, honestly, like even with the addition of LeVert. But let's get into the basketball. I don't tell, spoiler alert for our viewers, because we're 10 minutes in, but I don't tell these guys what I'm going to talk about. I basically put them on the spot the whole time. I understand that they watch a good majority of the games, but let's talk about these most recent 2 games, because I think that you saw it in the Indiana game, and we've seen it a little bit ever since Rubio went down. After the first quarter in Indiana, the Pacers have a 47-28 lead on the Cavaliers. We come back and win that game, which we could talk about. We're going to hit on and how good of a second half performance that was. But then you see it in the first quarter of the Philadelphia game. We're down 36-23. Philadelphia is obviously much more talented and hungry than the Indiana Pacers. It was back-to-back games, Friday into Saturday night, both on the road. And I don't want a habit to develop that we get behind in first quarters, because I feel like we've started games pretty well actually for the whole duration of the season. And I don't want that to change. I'll open it up to you guys who has any starting thoughts on, us not playing good first quarters.
Logan, you want to go first?
Sure. I mean, never mind just the Indiana-Philadelphia game. The prior Indiana game as well got off to a very, very slow start. And that's been the concerning thing, because we've seen this team come back from deficits many times. I think even in the Philly game, they battled back a little bit at some points in that game, but I think they were just kind of gassed and play the best brand of basketball, that's for sure. But when you put yourself down that early, you have to constantly rely on guys to always have a good night. Kevin Love, Jetty, guys like Rondo, LeVert, depending where they decide to put him, bench or starter. He should be a starter soon enough here, like officially all the time. But you're relying on those guys to always be great. And to their credit, they've been very good this year. They have stepped up in big moments. And the bench is the one that kind of always leads those comebacks that the Cavs have. Yeah. What happens when that bench doesn't show up? What happens when you're on a second night of a back-to-back and you're tired and you don't quite have the legs that you usually would? You're going to lose that ball game. That's what happened in Philly, and it's definitely been a call for concern as of late. I think part of it could be that with Garland in and out of the lineup, it always changes things up a little bit. It's always a positive to have him in the lineup, of course, but when he's in and out, it does kind of mess your flow up a little bit. Lauri not being there is just another person that allows you to kind of spread the floor, and he has some versatile, play style on both ends of the floor. There's not really an answer for it, though. I think what it comes down to at the end of the day is just that the Cavaliers wake up a little bit late. And when it comes playoff time, you get down in a 20-point hole after the first quarter, you're not going to win that game. I mean, that's just not how it goes, because no one's going to start laying down. Regular season, middle of February, you're going to have a chance to get back in it. But the Cavs got to stop doing this. It's starting to really wear on the team, and you can only come back from so many deficits.
I think a point that you guys that you and Jeff have made, Logan, is that trying to fit these pieces in that we've recently traded for Rajon Rondo, Caris LeVert, trying to figure out what their roles are on this team, what the minute split should be with this team. I think that's the biggest thing. I think we've talked about the minute split, and I think every other night it's different. And obviously, yes, Garland coming in and out of the lineup, Markkanen still being out. There's still a lot to figure out, and I'm pretty sure we won't figure out in this Hawks game anything that will be, permanent coming out of the All-Star break. So Markkanen missing another game. I think Garland's going to play, and then we go into this All-Star break. And then after that, you alluded to Caris LeVert maybe being a starter coming out of that break here. It's just going to have to be one of those situations where we spend the second half of the season figuring out what we want to do in the playoffs, what lineups work in the playoffs and whatnot. So it's definitely a matter for concern, but I don't think it's one that will last too long.
We just don't do the small things well in the first quarter. I mean, how many times have I texted you guys just stop turning over the damn ball?
Turnovers
have been absolutely killer, and especially in the first half. How many times have we looked
transition
at Transition
defense isn't very good.
Yeah,
either.
No. I mean, how many times at the end of a game have we been like, wow, we didn't commit a turnover for the last 10 minutes of the game? Well, that's because we literally couldn't turn it over because we got down so much that you have to take and value every single possession for the rest of the game. And the Cavaliers, to their credit, have done that, like I said. But to get off to that start, constant sloppy basketball, missed open shots, see, that's what I'm okay with. When we get down because we're missing good looks, kind of like in the first Indiana game, no, the defense wasn't great, but I think we actually got great looks and weren't making shots. I get upset when we turn over the basketball, aren't getting back on defense. Those are the kind of things that's just an effort thing. And if you don't have it from the tip, that's going to make trouble for you down the last 3 quarters.
I think a big point too was your point about the bench, more specifically Kevin Love and Cedi Osman. I think those two are the driving force in terms of like the energy that they feed off of one another. I mean, those two, it seems like, if one of them starts going for 3, then the other one will go and start dropping threes. But
they're looking for each other too.
The problem with that is if those two guys, and you were alluding to it, if those two guys aren't going to be doing that, what needs to happen? Because we can still win those games. It's not like, hey, Kevin Love and Cedi Osman aren't, hitting 3 to 5 threes a game. We're going to lose these games no matter what. It should be, all right, these two guys aren't making these shots tonight. Guys need to start getting more aggressive. And I think over these past couple games, I've been a little bit disappointed in Evan Mobley's aggressiveness. I think he's kind of fallen off a little bit. But, rookies hit that kind of wall, especially when you're playing a lot of minutes like he has. And I think Jarrett Allen had one bad game in like a very long time against the Philadelphia 76ers. But there will be points after this All-Star break where we need to have serious conversations about other players.
We're kind of cherry picking 2 games right there, especially Friday, Saturday, back to back. You would have liked to started better against Indiana for sure. You can't really blame the slow start in Philadelphia, especially on the road, as much. But we've played 57 games. So if you followed this team, if you've watched them for a significant amount of time, you kind of understand they're built to play ahead almost. They're built to have better starts than the opponent because being a defensive-minded team, and we've actually proven this to be wrong, I think, in a lot of games this year, but it's harder to string together, 2, 3, 4 defensive stops in a row when you've already played 35 minutes. So if you can't even do that to start, I mean, maybe it comes around in the fourth quarter and you can, but sometimes it's too little too late. Against the good teams, it's going to be just not the winning formula. Some teams, some roster compositions, I guess if you're one of the best, 3 offenses in the league, you could afford to play behind. We've actually played behind significantly well, I feel like, all year for our experience, our age, and, stuff like that. But I think jumping ahead a little bit to this Atlanta game, I would just like to see that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for close score after 1 quarter or winning the first quarter. It's going to be tough on the road in Atlanta. It's going to be tough with Trae Young. He loves another person who loves playing us. Logan, your favorite, but I'm glad that Logan led that off because he brings up my actual next segment, which is, like I said, there's no debriefing of this. So he knows where I'm going with it. All of these statistics are from statmuse.com. Lauri Markkanen on the season, defensive rating of 107.0, actually a better defensive rating than Isaac Okoro. Plus 178 plus minus on the season. Cavs are only 12-7 without him this year. So he's missed 19 games.
Wow, I didn't think it's been that much.
And I think he had COVID for a little bit. I don't know how many games he's missed here. He's missed at least 2 or 3 weeks, I think. And here's one of my favorite stats. He has 21 blocks on the season, 3rd most on the roster. Because I don't really kind of consider him a shot blocker, but he is actually behind Mobley and J.A. He's a sizable force down there. So we haven't talked about it a lot because I think we were under the impression that he might come back, and he just hasn't. And I'm thinking we're not going to see him until after the All-Star break, but Logan, what does he bring to the table, just all around offensively, defensively, as far as, you watching the games?
He completes the identity in a lot of ways. A lanky team that's really tough to deal with. When you have a 7-footer out on the perimeter and he's playing better defense than I think any of us thought he would play. When you have that, because you have to get by Garland, who's actually proven to be a very feisty defender, quick hands, definitely will push you around a little bit, not a lockdown, but definitely makes you frustrated. And then you have to deal with Karis LeVert, another similar defender to Garland, not lock up, but he's like a pest. And then if you get through all of that, you're looking at Lauri with all of his length. And then from there, like we said, the old reliable backstop and Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley, I think it's just so many lanky bodies and guys that are feisty, guys that will, aren't afraid to get into your jersey and start disrupting and bothering you. I think we're definitely missing that presence. But I think more than anything on the offensive end, first of all, I mean, an extra 12 to 15 points a game doesn't hurt. He's a decent rebounder, not great, but definitely gets his body in there. And I think another thing is when you go to the games in person, you appreciate the players more because one, it looks way harder to do when you're watching it live.
Yeah.
But two, I could see Lauri is very much a talker on defense, on offense, a guy that simply communicates very well. And I think that's something that the Cavaliers have been lacking a little bit lately is kind of a bit of their defensive rotations have been a little slow. There's been a little bit less communication, I feel like. Mobley, I think Jarrett Allen's probably one of the best communicators with Garland. Mobley's always been kind of the quieter one that I saw live, kind of does his own thing, but also, in the team setting. But Lauri was a talker. And I think they miss that kind of talking, that communication to make things right. So beyond his offensive production, his defensive prowess, I think we're missing just the overall communication that Lauri can provide. And we thought we're getting him back. We were convinced he's going on that road trip. They said he's likely coming back. He is shut down for the All-Star break, which can't come soon enough. Not only is it the All-Star break giving these guys a rest, but we have so many things to incorporate because we brought in LeVert, Rondo, then LeVert. Now we have to bring back Garland slowly, and now we have to bring back Lauri. We're going to need some time to figure this all out, put it all together, and make the pieces fit.
Yeah, I think it's interesting what he brings to this team, and I think the defensive rating that he brings, or that he's obtained from playing this season, is incredible. Because you would think with him starting in that lineup at the 3 position, it's almost to be believed that he'll be taking on smaller guys, quicker guys, faster guys, and having to deal with guys getting around him. But he keeps them in front of him very well. And on the offensive side, I don't want to listen, I'm going to make this comparison in the simplest of terms. He's playing the 3 guard or 3 spot like Kevin Durant does. And it's weird because they're both 6'10", 6'11", whatever. And you're like, all right, these guys shouldn't be able to, kill you on the offensive side. Kevin Durant, obviously, way more talented offensively than Lauri Markkanen, but Lauri still offers that 3-point shot, and he puts the ball on the ground really well for his size, I think. I think sometimes that is missed as a part of his game. And so, yeah, he offers a couple of different facets on both ends of the ball. And he's been impressive. And I think at one point or another, we gave him a little bit of crap because he wasn't feeling too hot from the 3-point line. But I think altogether, his game is just he's a guy that you hope, gives you 10 plus points, and anything above that is hey, that was a really great night for Lauri.
Yeah, I think I will fully admit that when he doesn't shoot well, he is frustrating to watch because it's tough to figure out how good he is defensively. No matter what you look at, you can look at this stat. Who's he guarding? Every night. He might not be guarding the best player. If Okoro's guarding the most offensively talented player, he might just have huge benefits on both sides of being that taller player. But him being out there, I got it wrong that him missing was the issue. Him not being out there is the issue because even if he misses, one, he has never been afraid to shoot since he joined the Cavaliers. Since he got in a uniform, he fires it up routinely, and we have games where people don't want to do that. Even against Charlotte a couple games ago, Kevin Love seems a little hesitant. Jetty's confidence could be, waver at some points. And besides Garland, if Garland's not out there, Lauri was that guy who was going to pull up from deep. And that makes the defense play differently. Even if he misses, you need to have your 3, your whoever's guarding him on the other team. He needs to be mobile, needs to be out on the perimeter. That opens up, cutting lanes to the basket. I actually think Lauri being out hurts Okoro, kind of like how you guys talk about how when Garland's out, Mobley plays better with Garland. I actually think Okoro plays better when Lauri's out there because Lauri's bringing another defender out. Then you get Okoro cuts. You don't have to worry about Okoro sitting on the 3-point line. So it's a shame that he's missed this much time. I didn't think he was going to miss this much time, but I think they just got to the point where the All-Star break is literally after tonight, so you might as well just keep him out.
That's a good point, Jeff. I didn't even think about that, but Okoro has been much more perimeter-based, over the last few weeks, and we always talk about he puts that ball on the ground and he gets to the rim pretty much every time he wants. It's about his finishing ability. But it would be so nice to have Lauri out there so he gets a head start. He doesn't have to make the move to the basket. He just got to run towards it and get the right pass in transition to score.
Yeah, I think Okoro, your perimeter threat, or Lauri, your perimeter threat. I think everybody, knows who to pick there, and that's why we still have these scoring droughts when Lauri's out there, but it's just different, and it's going to be different trying to get him back in the lineup, as you said, Logan. Before we get into the last segment, but of a fun little segment, the new segment of the week that is actually involved with all of us. It's really not that creative, but let's talk about this Hawks game tonight. What are you looking for? Predict player of the game, and we've already said our predictions, but just what are you looking from this Hawks game tonight?
This is gonna be a tough one. First of all, right now I'm 3-0 in the week.
Me too.
I predicted that we would win. My player of the game tonight. First of all, the battle that I'm really looking forward to, and you might think it's Garland versus Trae Young, and believe me, I'm excited to see it. But my favorite battle, actually, assuming they're both playing, I have no idea what Atlanta's situation is right now. Capella versus Allen. Because Clint Capella has really been hurting us in these matchups. He's grabbing like 15-plus rebounds against us, blocking a lot of shots. And I know that's what he does. I think he's the rebounding leader right now, if I'm not mistaken, or second in the NBA. But we have to limit their second chances big time. I think that's going to be huge. If we can get that first stop and go out, because Atlanta, they're a team that plays on confidence. Most teams in the NBA do, but I think them especially, when they get a little run going, it can really be scary. But I think they also get frustrated really easily. If I'm not mistaken, no John Collins tonight either for Atlanta.
Collins is out. Bogdan is questionable, and Delon Wright is questionable.
Okay, so Delon Wright, Bogdanovich is out. I think my player of the game, though, it's going to be Karis LeVert.
Ooh.
I think tonight, first of all, he had a great game against his former Indiana team, closed him out really nicely. But like I said in the past, I think Karis has always been giving us that competitive edge. By the way, Love had like 35 and 11 last time he played Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken, 37 in Cleveland on New Year's. So maybe he loves playing Atlanta. I remember 2016, he was knocking down threes left and right, as was everybody else in that playoff run. But I have a feeling with LeVert just gives us a little competitive edge. I think Garland, people are so ready for the matchup of Garland versus Trae Young. Everyone's so ready for the Jarrett Allen versus Clint Capella, right? That's the matchup.
Who's going to be the third for each team?
The third guy, right? And I think he may not be the best player, but as far as impact at that third spot, I think he's going to be the one to do it tonight.
Interesting. I'm personally hoping that Evan Mobley finishes off this, final game going into the All-Star break on a good note.
I like that.
I've been really, maybe I've been a little bit harsh on him in our text messages and such. But this is a game that I would have liked to have had everyone, I don't know, maybe at a different point in the season and everyone's healthy and it's a potential playoff matchup where I think, the starting lineups match out really nicely. You have guys like John Collins and Evan Mobley who are very similar, Clint Capella and Jarrett Allen, Darius Garland and Trae Young. I just think this would have been a really interesting matchup to kind of get a feel for playing a playoff team. And, without John Collins in there, I hope to see Evan Mobley take advantage of whoever's guarding him at the 4 position tonight. And I'll say that that's my, player to watch. I don't know that he's going to be player of the game because I'm just confident at this point now that Garland's going to drop 20 plus. And, he didn't drop a lot of assists in his last game, but, I think he's always due for a good stat line.
I'm going to go basic. I'm saying Darius Garland, and I've been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and, obviously super greedy, but tonight's the bomb. Tonight's the 45-50 from Garland. Trae Young don't play defense.
45-50.
45.
I love it,
Jeff.
Because here's
a little bit, Jeff.
This is the issue when we play Atlanta, because it doesn't make any sense. I feel like Atlanta is similar to Charlotte. Good, great offense, better offense than Charlotte, and doesn't play any defense. Like one of the worst defensive teams in the league. That should be a really good matchup for us. So when I see them, play on New Year's Eve and we miss 10, 12 free throws and we lose by, I don't even know, 4 or 5, it's like I feel like we should be beating this team, but I feel like Trae Young has our number. always plays good against us. This Atlanta team in the past couple of years, I just don't love playing, whatever it is. But you saw it in the 76ers game. How many points did Darius have a half? 22? What did he finish with?
So 20 and he finished 27.
Yeah, he's done that all year. He has one amazing half, which usually is enough to win us the game because he's facilitating scoring and things like that. But I'm 40 minimum tonight for DG. I have this as a Cavs loss, so I'm not going to say anything about that. But last game before the All-Star break, Justin and I totally agree. Let's try to get some people on some good momentum, some good confidence before. I'd expect, hopefully a good shooting night from Jetty Love.
Yeah, gonna need the bench to be good. But my big key tonight, the key to victory, close out on shooters. We have been pathetic at closing out on shooters. So true. Late. And Atlanta gets hot in a hurry. Trae Young, Bogdanovich is questionable. Even guys like Kevin Huerter. He's a Cavalier killer. I mean, Trae Young at the end of the day is good. He's a good player.
Logan approval.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm going to come out with a list of Cavalier killers. We'll do a draft of those guys. There's a lot of them.
Send it to me. I'll tweet it out.
I'm so down for it. But Huerter is a good player. He's a great player when he plays Cavaliers, and he tends to knock down threes in bunches. That's going to be a guy to watch out for. Close out on the shooters. Don't let them get hot early because I think against Atlanta, you're going to have more difficulty coming back against a team like that than a team like, say, Indiana, a team like Boston who gets frustrated, a team like who was another great comeback we had. And we've had quite a few this year.
Yeah.
But if they get hot early, it's going to be similar to Philly. They're battle-tested. They play on confidence. Can't let them get the confidence early. Got to close out.
Well, before we get to the last segment, for the record, Justin has this as a Cavs win. Logan has this as a Cavs win. I have this as a Cavalier loss. So
what's Justin on the week? Is Justin 3-0 as well?
I'm 2-1.
2-1 said we were going to beat Philly.
I was going streaking, remember, Logan?
I picked up the game for now. Yeah. Logan is pulling way away. But
let's go.
It's Tuesday of the All-Star weekend week. So, and it's in Cleveland. If it wasn't in Cleveland, I probably would have kept this segment out. We just would have ended it. But for right now, we're going to hit the news segment of the week with the All-Star game being in Cleveland 2022. I take the whole city down with this. Okay. If just for let's Rubio. See, like just for awareness, I put Rubio in there and I was like, oh yeah, it's Rubio. But we are going to talk about the All-Star festivities, obviously in our home city, and you might not know what's going on because if you don't really follow the NBA, they don't do like a great job of kind of facilitating what's going on, what time it is, what TV channel, whatever. But we're going to start with our own personal predictions for all three of the contests and the game itself. We're going to say All-Star MVP, who we think is going to win. But let's start here with the Taco Bell Skill Challenge. I'm glad Taco Bell's a sponsor because similar to the fast food place, this is kind of just randomly thrown together, and then they give it to you for a discounted price. If I may use an analogy. You got Team Cavs here, J.A., Darius, Mobley. You have the Antetokounmpos, Alex, Giannis, and Francis. And you have the Rooks, Scotty Barnes, Cade Cunningham, and Josh Giddey. I don't even really know what they're going to be doing. Shooting, passing.
Shooting, passing, and dribbling, isn't it?
Yeah, dribbling.
Is it different this year? About to say, because
I feel like it's always that.
I don't even know.
I feel like it's typically only one player, right? It's like typically the guard.
Yeah, it's never really teams. I don't think it's ever been teams. Maybe it was teams last year, but I think they have to do a half court shot at the end. But just take into account dribbling, shooting, and passing. And I'm gonna start with, I think Logan actually it's his week to start, but I'm not certain, and it really doesn't matter.
I'll take it. So who's winning this?
Easy for me.
I think it's
the Rooks
too. Yeah.
Do we all say the Rooks?
I think it's the Rooks.
I would say the Rooks. They have an unfair advantage. The Antetokounmpos should come in last, though.
Yeah.
Why wasn't like Kevin Love in here? Like I would have swapped. Like no offense to Jarrett Allen, I probably would have swapped him. Well, and this was before
Jarrett Allen ain't gonna do nothing.
Right.
Not in
This was
skills
before
challenge,
we got
right?
into the All-Star game, and I think this is like the weird way of like the NBA trying to shoehorn him in there because he got snubbed at the beginning. But like when you think about it, Garland's going to do the dribbling stuff. Mobley's probably going to shoot, and then I don't know, is Allen going to do the passing?
I'd make Mobley do the dribbling
and have Allen shoot.
No, have
Like,
Allen do have
Garland
Darius shoot.
Like they screwed us. Like at least if you put Kevin Love in there and you get him to shoot and Garland to pass or dribble, whatever, that's fine. The Antetokounmpos, I don't know. Like
I don't even know how they play.
Right. Are they all Giannis? Like are they?
I mean, none of them have like the dribbling, the even the shooting, because Giannis's shot has come around. None of them are Giannis, plain and simple. They just have the same last name. They're not really similar to Giannis anyway. They're good energy players, but I mean, other than that, when it comes to like just like if the competition was catching lobs, shot blocking, dunking, and waving at the crowd, I go Cavs all day. But at the end of the day, Barnes, Cunningham, and Giddey can do all three of those.
Cunningham's going to shoot, Giddey's going to pass, and Barnes is going to.
You think Cunningham's going to shoot?
Yeah,
I think Giddey's going to shoot. Isn't Giddey the better 3-point shooter?
I think Giddey's the better
just
passer.
Had a day yesterday, 28, 12, and 11 or something like that.
Giddey's a better passer, but I mean, we'll see. This is a Saturday, February 19th, live from the land. I'm going to start with this one because I think the first, like right when they announced it, I think we were kind of roasting the other two games. And the more I look at the dunk contest, I'm actually changing my stance on it, which we'll get to last, because I actually think the dunk contest might not be too bad. But as I say that, we are going to pivot over to the Mountain Dew 3-point contest. So this is Saturday, 8 p.m. So it all starts at 8. I don't really know the order. But, yeah. How do we feel about the field, and who do we think is going to win? And they have McCollum in a Portland jersey.
Oof.
Big oof. I don't know. I have like 3 players in here that I think are solid 3-point shooters.
And is Levine going to play? If Levine doesn't go, does Kevin Love get a bump if Levine is hurt?
That would be nice. No idea, but
I kind of doubt it.
I think for me, like it goes. I feel like Desmond Bane is in a way is an underdog, and I think he's like a really good. He'll make it to that final. What is it? Like 3 of them make it to the final or whatever.
Who knows? I don't even know how it works anymore.
If I will give my final 3, I think it's going to be Bane, McCollum, and Young. And I'm going to say since it's in Cleveland, I'm going to give it to CJ McCollum. I'm going to give it to the hometown kid.
Nice. This is awkward because I was going to tell you who's not going to win.
Ooh, is it CJ McCollum?
Not going to be Towns. It's not going to be Levine, and I don't think it's going to be CJ.
Oof.
I just feel like I don't know. I don't know if CJ is right for this competition. I don't know. People are going to roast me in the comments, and I probably deserve it.
Who knows? Maybe you're right. Maybe he misses the most, and
there's so many of them.
Wrong.
I love CJ McCollum. I think your favorites. I think Desmond Bane is going to be the surprise, like you said. I was going to say the exact same thing. I think he's going to go far and surprise people. I wouldn't sleep on Patty Mills. Fred VanVleet is a guy that rises to the occasion, even though it's just a joke contest. I think he would take this very seriously.
Yeah.
And then Trae Young, I think Trae Young's the favorite, but if he gets cold for even just a couple of shots, he can get ice cold. With that being said, I like Desmond Bane as my 3-point champion.
Desmond Bane. Desmond Bane is too big to be shooting threes. Look how goofy he looks in the graphic.
Dude.
I'm going to keep it short and sweet and total contrarian. I'm going Luke Kennard for winner. The only lefty.
Oh, goodness.
Ohio. He's from Ohio, right?
Yeah, he is Franklin, Ohio.
Yeah, he played in Central Ohio. Only lefty. And the lefties are cold, dude. You can't sleep on lefties.
That's true.
But, tune into TNT. I mean,
it's better not get counted on our season predictions, all I got to say.
No, this is not counting for nothing because why?
So what?
You get 2 bonus points for each one you get right.
We talk McCollum, Bane, and Kennard. Is that what the official decisions were?
Yeah.
Okay.
It'd be sick if all 3 of those guys made it to the finals at least.
I could also see Trae Young just running away with it, but it totally depends on how hot he is that day.
I mean, I think that'll honestly be entertaining. But the more I look at this lineup, I honestly think this could be a pretty good dunk contest.
This is going to be good.
I think Cole, like if they just had one more person, like Jalen Green and Obi, I think is pretty not must see because the dunk contest is pretty bad depending on who the judges are, what's it scored out of, what ideas we have, if the crowd's into it, if there's celebrities in downtown Cleveland. There's a lot of factors, but it's like if you could have found one more person who wasn't Juan Toscano Anderson or Cole Anthony, like I think it could have been close to elite. But I think Jalen Green and Obi Toppin are going to put on an absolute show.
Yeah, I think Cole Anthony has the potential to be the most creative because I think he's going to have to be the most creative. He's going to have to have a dunk that looks cool or has some presentation to it. Jalen Green, I think, is probably the favorite. I don't give a crap about Juan Toscano Anderson, I'll be honest. I mean, I think he's got some bounce. He's definitely got some athleticism. And, people are probably thinking I'm just saying that because, I probably haven't heard him as much. No, I know who he is. I don't really understand, I guess, his fit into this. We'll see. Obi Toppin, though, he is capable of doing some insane things. We saw it at Dayton. Once again, another Ohio guy coming to the All-Star game. I think at the end of the day, though, Jalen Green has such a fandom around him that he could do the same dunk as Obi and probably win.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take Jalen Green. I'm not going to sleep on Cole Anthony anymore. I kind of gave him some crap before, and people were saying he's got bounce. Watch Juan Toscano Anderson just shut me up, too. I think I like Jalen Green, though, because I think fandom goes a long way in the dunk contest.
Here's my thing with Obi. I have two sides of this coin with him. I think he's just so well known for dunking at this point because he's a bench player, and I think a lot of people had high hopes for him. I had high hopes for him and everything, but
Mari Stoudemire, I thought that's who he was going to be.
I think there's two sides of this coin. I think one, he could just be straight up Serge Ibaka. He just does really normal dunks, but adds some weird twist to it. Or he could somehow, and this is going to the extreme, I don't want to say he's going to be up to this level, but I want to say he could be near it, is Aaron Gordon.
I was going to say it too.
He's that big body guy, and you kind of don't expect it out of him, but he has a little bit of freak athleticism in him.
Yeah, is this the new Levine versus Gordon? Green versus Obi?
That'd be
sick.
To
see it. If it ends up being really cool, I'd like to see him again.
Yeah.
I think this has the potential to be a lot better than people are, putting it out there to be just because you might not have heard of these guys or, it's not you used to get big names in the slam dunk contest. So I see where
Toppin was my choice. I didn't make that clear, but Toppin.
Oh, okay. Okay. Honestly, I think Toppin was my first pick, but I think Toppin can do the most. So he's going to have the most difficult ideas and not be able to execute them. And Jalen Green's going to have less difficult ideas, but do them on the first try. So I'm going to go Jalen Green as well. I'm sure Juan Toscano Anderson will probably win. Who knows?
Yeah, it'll prove us all wrong.
Honestly, I'll be making a public apology if that happens.
Question for you.
Okay.
In terms of the dunk contest, is it, these guys obviously get 2 or 3 attempts, whatnot, or they get a time limit.
Timer, yeah.
With them missing, does that automatically take points off of their
I think it used to.
It's judges' discretion, I think. Could be wrong, but I think in the past, if somebody did a dunk on the first try, it was viewed as more impressive.
So let's just take a quick poll between us three. If someone misses, but you see the idea, does that take away from them having the success of it on a second or third attempt?
I personally don't think so.
Okay.
If they do it on the second, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt once. But if it takes you more than 2 tries,
I'm with Jeff. If it takes you more than the second attempt, then it's you've
taken
the air out of the room. Yeah.
Hopefully the judges are good. The judges are more important to me than the judging system is more important than the dunks because they really should just.
Judges? Don't they typically get one person from the city? Is there someone from the city that you'd want? I feel like Miles.
Get Austin Carr out there.
Get Cuddy. Austin Carr.
Yeah.
Who knows? But it's just let the fans vote. Just literally just be if you're watching, you're on Twitter, we're just going to put up
a quick poll.
Yeah, we're just going to put up point ranges. I mean, it'd be tough to do, but whatever. I think it's going to be. I actually think that these events are kind of so slept on that it's going to be a good All-Star weekend, and because. Different sports, but the MLB All-Star Game was kind of similar. People are I'm not really sure. The Home Run Derby turned out to be pretty good theater. So I'm excited. I know you guys are excited. We're gonna hop off here. So any final thoughts going for about 45 minutes. So
I guess
Encapsulated 17 wrapping up.
I guess go Team Braun. Like it's got.
Oh
Garland
yeah.
and Allen.
Oh yeah. Who's gonna win who do you guys think for a final?
Ooh.
Braun or Durant, and who's gonna win MVP? Almost
Braun
forgot
is
about that.
undefeated. Durant's not even playing. I'm going Team Braun, and I would love to see. I would love to see. I don't know how they'd make it work. How about Jarrett Allen block on the one end, leak out for LeBron,
A block in the
throw to
All-Star game,
Garland,
Logan.
go glass to Allen for the dunk. LeBron doesn't have to do anything on the play. I just want him to touch the ball and give it to a Cavalier. I think that'd be so.
That's gonna happen,
right? Because he's playing for Harden, so he's on Team LeBron, right?
He's gonna personally make it a timeout and point to Garland to come off the bench and all that because of all the stuff he was saying during that draft. He's gonna make a whole show out of it. I'm sure he will.
What's he gonna get again? Or what's what do you get fined for if you're trying to recruit somebody? What's the term? Tampering. There's gonna be a whole lot of tampering in Cleveland. With LeBron having 2 Cavaliers on his squad.
I hope Garland goes off.
How about Garland tampers?
I'm gonna go with just Garland, just because I'm gonna be the dude that says it. But
Garland All-Star.
I just think he's either going to just do some nutty passes and stuff like that, or he's gonna just go off from 3 and have 30 points.
I think also Garland could kind of be like that Kyrie role in 2014, where it was his second All-Star game, his first time starting.
2014 would have been his first. Oh no, it would have been his second time.
It was when LeBron's last year in Miami. I think that was the game where LeBron was like, "Shit, I want to play." Sorry, I want to play in Cleveland with this guy. I think Garland, honestly, he definitely could bring this home. I also see a guy like Giannis, just being going hard like he does. Yeah. Joel Embiid, maybe similar deal there. But we're in Cleveland. I think they might just let Garland put on a little show. Who knows?
Right. That's what I hope is the case.
I got the Grinch stole the All-Star game in Cleveland. I do think LeBron is going to win. Well, maybe this might not support I don't even know what the rosters are, but whoever wins, I'm thinking that my inside shot for MVP is Andrew Wiggins.
I completely forgot that I get to watch. I completely forgot that I get to watch Donovan Mitchell. There's tampering
for Kevin Love.
There's tampering that I want to happen. I want Darius Garland to tamper with Donovan Mitchell and get him over here.
There's no the trade deadline's over. Tampering's over.
Listen, the future.
You're laying the seeds right now. You understand it's a process.
But if Andrew Wiggins wins MVP, that'll be funny because I feel like he's going to be trying. He's going to be like, people are talking like I'm bad, and he's going to be upset, and then he's going to be like, well, this is the city who traded me for Kevin Love. So
true.
Be on the lookout for Andrew Wiggins. It's all really about who just cares the most, who's out there just trying, wants the ball.
Yeah.
Who really knows though with MVP? They're all obviously great players to make the All-Star roster. But that's it for us for now. Cavs Encapsulated episode 17. This is going to go up probably 6 o'clock, an hour before game time. Then we're going to watch the game, and we're going to try to be on live post game after for Hawks Cavs reaction right after the final horn. And then a week from today, the fantasy Cleveland Cavaliers draft, which we talked about at the top. If you've stuck around this long, we really appreciate you guys. And before we see you tonight, make sure that you let them know.